who is joining. This is the Business of Coaching webinar, the last one for 2020, for better or for worse, I guess. And today's going to be kind of a different session than usual, because usually we have a presenter, someone leading us on a particular topic. And what I realized, excuse me, I just burped. It's not very professional, but that's what happens when you're live on it. Maybe I shouldn't acknowledge that. Okay, cool. Hey guys, you've met me. I'm
style points for authenticity.
I'm disgusting. So, you know, what has occurred to me is that a lot of the same kinds of questions and comments and challenges keep coming up, both in terms of feedback that, you know, that I'm seeing from our community, as well as what I'm seeing in LinkedIn groups and Facebook groups and whatnot. So instead of, you know, taking out a topic and kind of talking at you, I thought it'd be good to, first of all, get an understanding of what challenges everyone has been facing in this past year. You know, things in your business, things that I would say affect your personal life too, because a lot of us are now kind of business and life are really merging together because of all the lockdowns and things. And I thought we could use this as a jumping off point for a discussion around, you know, what challenge, how you overcame those challenges, hopefully. And if you didn't, let's talk how we maybe can approach those. So my request would be to actually get a few of you on the panel, or a lot of you on the panel. So first things first, I will ask any of you who are currently in the audience, if you have something specific to share about a challenge that you are still facing or have overcome this past year, in the context of, you know, coaching and being a coach and coaching business, please click on the little raise your hand button thingy, button in your Zoom window, so that we can get a few of you on here. But no one's raising their hand yet. Okay, so somebody please raise your hands. That's okay if you don't. Nessa and I have other things to talk about, but we want to start off with asking what, oh, did someone raise their hand? What is happening with my Zoom?
Yeah, I see that also, and it's not showing.
Nessa, do you see who is raising their hand?
Yes, Paula
Prentice?
And Risto.
Yes or no?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I'm going to promote Paula to panelist.
Also Risto.
Okay.
Koskinen.
Risto.
Let's see.
Yep. Yeah, my Zoom has decided not to have icons anymore, so that's cool. Okay,
We've got
Pat Dickinson.
Yep, there we go.
Excellent. Hello, our new panelists.
Don't be shy, you don't have to be on video.
No, I would like you to be on video.
Just kidding.
I was literally going to say, please come on video. This is a webinar, it's not a... Okay, anyone else? Going once, going twice? Panelists, come on video, say hello. Panelists. Okay, I'm gonna wait.
Give me a moment.
Oh, okay. I'm glad that you are there. So let's take a look at what's on the screen so far. And the word crowd didn't work as well as I hoped. Maybe I should have used a different format. But pricing seems to be an issue, both in terms of, I'm interpreting this, right? How do I price? As well as companies not, or individuals, whoever, clients not having money for coaching, uncertainty, expansion growth, going global. Who really is a coach? That's one that we talked about a little bit before we actually started this, because that's a big one, I think. Coaching, for better or for worse, well, not for better or for worse, for better, is becoming bigger and more accepted globally. And at least my perception is that people are realizing that coaching can be quite effective in a variety of situations, both personal and professional, where before people would kind of go from either there's nothing that I can get help with to therapy. So what's really cool for me, at least, to see is that people are realizing that coaching is this awesome thing where you can get help and reach your goals, and but yeah, without having to go to that other extreme. So that is exciting. But what's not exciting about that is that it has made a lot of people start saying that they are coaches when they are not coaches, and can even be destructive to working with clients. So that's an interesting area. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing. I will put this on the blog post later so you guys can see it. But hello, Pat and Paula, and we lost our last person, but Pat, Paula, do you want to introduce ourselves? Tell us who you are, where you are.
Okay, I'll go first, Paula. My name is Pat Dixon. I'm actually in Johannesburg, South Africa, but as you can see from my study, I actually hail from the UK originally. So nice to meet you. I am a qualified coach with ICF. I'm an ACC about to go for my PCC, so I'm very nervous.
Don't be nervous. If you did it once, you can do it again.
So good morning. Yes, I'm Paula Prentice. I'm on Eastern Long Island in New York in the USA. And so actually, Magda, it's interesting what you just said. So I'm one of those people, I'm in the process of the certification. So I don't like to call myself a coach because I'm a clinical social worker. So I'm licensed as a social worker, but I really find everything to do with coaching just exactly my wheelhouse, how it's been for the past 30 years. So I do fall into that category, and I'm intrigued by people who call themselves coaches, but they're not certified yet. So I'm on my way.
Awesome. And you know what, like, it's not even the certification that you're in progress and you're learning. For me, it's, you know, there's a few groups that I've seen pop out on the socials, and people are asking advice of each other. And a lot of times I see the kinds of questions they're asking, and I really just want to, I don't know, either strangle them or just jump in and be like, no, please don't do this to your clients. Like, no, or refer them to somebody else more capable. That's what gets me worried. I think as all of us who've gone through coach training, we've learned that self-awareness is like the biggest journey that you go on, right? And when you work with clients, helping them with their self-awareness is another huge component of what coaching is. And a lot of the coaches who have no idea about coaching, I feel like, have zero self-awareness, and that leads to all sorts of problems. Yeah. Anyway. Pat, you're muted.
Sorry. Can I just say something quickly? I actually see on LinkedIn today that I was working with, one of my old colleagues has moved from being an HR director of a large multinational national company in South Africa. She's opened her own business, like so many of us were forced to do. And she was very, very good in communication and human resources. And I did check, she has no qualification as a coach, certainly not on her profile. And yet she's giving herself the title of HR practitioner and coach. And it's that kind of thing that bothers me because, yeah, you know, you've got some good counselors out there, don't get me wrong. And some people, certainly from, if you're linked to any kind of church, there are some very strong people giving advice and good advice. But I battle with somebody with her, if I call credentials as she is in HR, a coach. So I just throw that out there.
So an audience, please feel free to chime in. Like, anybody else wants to hop on the panel, let me know. But otherwise, just please use the chat to kind of answer along and give us your opinions. But what does that, both of you, Paula, you're in the process of becoming credentialed, and Pat, you already have your first and go for your second credential. Nessa's going for her first credential as well. Me too, even though, oh my God, this is a sore point. Like, I've literally been putting it off for a year. I have all the requirements. I'm such a bad example. And I keep telling myself, the more I say it publicly, the more pressure I'll put on myself, but I still don't do it. So anyway, I digress. So all of us we clearly value credentials. And as a company, Coach Aria clearly values credentials for a variety of reasons. But I'm curious, is this a problem that others in the audience are seeing? Do you think that, what do you think this is doing to credentials and to your business? Is it affecting you in a negative way, other than just, oh, it makes me cringe, I want to hop in there and help? Nessa, Paula, Pat?
I was just noticing in the chat, credentials give you credibility.
We should all be unmuted, actually, Paula, because yes, it's a discussion. So there's less time for pause for the rest of the audience. I just said to you, actually, Magda, on the message to the panelists, the credentials give you credibility. It also gives you confidence. And one of the things I have to say thank you to Coach Aria for is I've been coming onto the sessions over the last month. Every Wednesday I'm pitching up, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm absolutely knocked out by Ram.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
And the guests he has, and they are talking to an advanced level. I realized there are some people on there, the chats, that I seem to think are less experienced. But I'm actually really proud of myself because I'm keeping up with Ram and Co.
Oh, awesome.
Which tells me I'm ready. So I'm going for PCC next year. I need to get a few more coaching hours. No, not coaching hours, training coaching. And
well, we are a coach training school. I'm just going to throw it out there.
There we go. But I need to do more, and I'm loving what I'm doing so far, and it's given me huge confidence. So get that credential, Magda and Nessa.
I'm working on it.
And if you need a mentor, let me know.
Thank you. I think I have half of Coach Aria's lining up to mentor me because they want their CEO to be credentialed. So yes, I know how embarrassing it is for you guys. Yes, everyone loves Ram. I know that. And it's important to be accredited. I agree with credibility. But, when you go to a new prospective client, everyone has different criteria of how they are looking at a potential service provider in any situation, including when they're looking for a coach, whether they're a person or a business, right? And for some of them, different things will matter, and they will have different levels of awareness of credentialing or the coaching world in general. So we can't assume that they know anything that we know. So what do you say to potential clients? How do you not just go, oh yeah, well, I have my credential, therefore I'm better? That's not going to go over very well.
No, and this is, I don't want to cut anybody off. I was thinking, we were having this conversation, as Magda mentioned, we were talking about this a little bit beforehand. I had a chance to connect with just some friends, coaches in my network, and one of them had specifically said, I don't want to brag. I don't want to come from a place of my ego, right? Is kind of what I was hearing. And then at the same point too, I don't want to come from a place of judgment, which I guess would still be ego, and look to discredit the other coach as though I know, or any of us, really know where that person's coming from or what they're doing or how they're operating, what their plan is. And so, I don't know, I was just kind of sitting here thinking as everybody was sharing and looking at the chat, and I think it's definitely something valid for myself personally. Like, I know once I have those letters behind my name, I can envision my confidence level skyrocketing. So then I go this if then conversation with myself. Once my confidence level skyrockets, I will exude this aura of confidence, which then will attract the ideal clients that are right for me, right? The only problem with that, though, I'm thinking is, I feel like there's a limiting belief in there somewhere that we probably, all of us kind of have to look at and talk about individually. For myself, why is it that once I have a couple additional letters after my name, will I give myself the permission to shine bigger and brighter, right? And give myself with the permission to have that confidence. So when I think about having that conversation with some new clients, I recently just established, probably maybe like a month now, my first sales team that I'm coaching, which is really exciting. Thankfully, I was referred, so it was a little bit more of a warmer transition, but nonetheless, I had to, I felt, bring to the table before it came to me the objection of, okay, well, prove to me your value. You don't have your credentials. You are not I'm not a Ram. I'm not a Mr. Miyagi. I don't have all of those wonderful life experiences that other coaches have. But when I think about that, I think for me, what I want to make the conversation about is just a me conversation, and speaking for me about the coach place. I reference this a lot. There's just this coach place that's somewhere around here that I feel like I operate from. And I was sharing with Magda that I think if we can create a message that's just more inwardly focused on ourselves, and then speaking from that place to that other individual, I don't know that the credentials, I think in certain conversations, certain clients, certain executives, right, depending on what your niche is, I think it will mean more. But I also feel that with our training and the experiences that we have in our professional background, I think we can have a conversation just as candidly as this and be felt through that. And I think that's where we play. That's where we compete. Those are my thoughts.
I'm going to interrupt because two thoughts. I don't necessarily agree with the experiences of Ram or anybody makes him a better, I mean, he's an amazing coach. Let's just put it out there. Ram, full stop, you're amazing. We all love you. Putting that aside, Ram will be the first person to tell you that anybody can be a coach, anybody can be a mentor, and anybody can be a healer. Frankly, that's something he and I talk about every time we talk about new programs, new webinars, new anything. It's why we started the Youth Leadership Program. We right now have 23 18 to 25-year-olds who we think can be as amazing coaches as any given MCC out there, and they have zero professional experience. So that's, I think, a self-limiting belief maybe that you have around this whole professional thing. But, and the other thing that I'm going to say, which kind of contradicts myself a little bit, I'm a marketer by training, right? The one thing that I've learned in my career is if you build it, they will come is not a thing that actually happens. It happens once, and it was a baseball movie, and Kevin Costner made it happen. It's not going to happen again. So even when you get that amazing, confidence you're talking about, Nessa, that comes with whether it's credential or scoring that amazing client, whatever it is, just because you have that, it isn't magically going to attract people, because that's just life. So Paula, I'm keen to hear from you actually, because you're in the process of your first credential. And you talked about not calling yourself a coach. And it's a little interesting, because I feel like you have the self-awareness to actually say that you are a coach, yet you aren't even saying that. So yeah, anyway, what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak on that. It's funny you say that, because I do consider myself a coach, because the kind of training that I went through for social work and being a therapist and so forth was so geared toward that humanitarian type of modality, right, of treatment and cognitive behavior therapy. And so I'm trained in trauma treatment, anxiety treatment. And honestly, when you're working with someone as a coach, what I've learned and appreciated is that there are times when someone might slip, as coaches, we work toward pushing them to the future, right? That future vision. As therapists, we're trying to manage something that's gone wrong, let's say, or a foul over or a miss or an unawareness or so many things. And we want to get them to a place where we can then coach. Well, what I really enjoy is the craft of it all, right? So you learn these amazing techniques and you build your own craft. So I do that based on my experience as a clinician and this work with trauma and anxiety, and then this amazing potential you have from everything that they teach us in the coaching school, which, you know, I've already read ahead, I've already practiced. I do have coaching clients, and I can, you know, I was not, what's interesting is that I was not comfortable with that, as you're alluding to, Magda, because, you know, how can I do that legally, ethically? I'm bound by so many ethics as a social worker and take it so seriously. But, you know, so how could I call myself a coach? And then I learned, you know, the educators in the coaching school are like, you can absolutely call yourself a coach. And so I've actually spent a lot of time doing free consult calls, mostly around educating people on what coaching is, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between coaching and therapy. And my whole thing is all ships rise for coaches. We need to lift each other up and promote. There's so many different kinds of coaching, right? And so what someone's like, I have a different niche than maybe what Nessa does or what Pat does, but we all, you know, need to support each other in the field.
Totally agree. And I just want to just a couple comments that are coming up in the chat, because I think maybe we're pressing some buttons. You know, I want to make sure people know that we're not attacking non-credentialed coaches. That is not the intention at all.
Yeah, because I'm one of them.
3 of us here on this screen are not credentialed. But the point isn't credentialed is better than non-credentialed. I think, you know, people talking about having a coaching mindset is the most important thing. And someone said that there are great coaches without credentials, just as there are poor coaches with credentials. Totally agree. A fool with a tool is still a fool. Full stop, right? So that's not the point. Coaching, excellent. I think for me, you know, if I put myself in the position of a client and I don't understand what coaching mindset is, and maybe I have the kind of issue that Paula just talked about, I don't understand coaching versus therapy versus mentoring versus whatever. And I have a budget in mind for whatever reason, because I've hired a trainer in the past, or I went to a therapist. I have some sort of benchmark that I'm evaluating, whatever it is. As a coach, you won't know any of that. You may hopefully have the foresight to ask some of that, hopefully the opportunity to ask some of that. But chances are you will not, because someone's going to go to your website or your LinkedIn profile or your listing on the marketplace, whatever, and they're going to go only by that information. And they're not going to know about your coaching mindset. They're not going to know about your commitment to the craft. All they're going to see is the things that they are going to see. And I want to make sure, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but I want to bring it back to the business of coaching, right? Because this is the webinar about the business of coaching, not the we are all amazing people who want to help the world. That's a given. I'm talking about how do we surface ourselves? How do we exemplify the things that we talk about? It's hard, right? And just putting up a website and saying I have a coaching mindset isn't going to help you any. And someone who's saying, oh, I'm charging $100 versus my colleague with the same background, I'm saying it's the same background, that's charging $200. As a client, how are you going to know?
When somebody's going for a credential, Magda, the chances are that they will go to a coaching company, website, Coach Area, I'm not pronouncing it right, ICF, whatever. They would start, I would assume, with going to, okay, I need a coach, where shall I start? So the chances are, and somebody said to me the other day, more of the PCC coaches are getting business on ICF, it's a sweeping comment, than those that don't have. So I'm saying for business in coaching, the newbie client will probably go for somebody with a qualification. Now, having said that, I did a 360 and said, as you said, Paula, and so did Ranjit say, you can get some damn good coaches out there that don't have a jot of qualification. And well done them. Well done them. At the end of the day, that first session, when you use it as maybe a freebie, a meet and greet, a coffee chat, whatever, your true self will come out.
Mm.
And that will determine whether your client resonates with you. And that's what the important thing is, isn't it?
Mm. And look, once the door opens, you walk through it. It's up to you what you're going to make through with what you find on the other side, right? Mm-hmm. Totally get that. How do you find the door? How do you get the door to open? Especially in this past year, I'm really curious to hear from also others in the audience. What have you been doing differently? I mean, all of our lives have changed, every single person on this planet. And as coaches, we are not immune to it. I think at Coacharia, we've had less of a change than others because we've always been online. Like, this is normal. Nothing has shifted. Every single training we've always done, other than a few in India, has been online. So we're used to this. The world still isn't. And I feel like a lot of people are holding out for back to normal, which I don't think is happening. There is no such thing as going back, where there's going to be a new normal. But what is that going to be? I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious to hear, other than, because all these things we just talked about, they're true no matter what, right? Whether you're doing business in person or on Zoom. But I'm curious to hear, are there other challenges that people are finding because of, 2020 being a bit colorful. Of a challenge?
Yeah, it's not the right time, Magda. It's not the right time. December, November, it's not the right time. I'm waiting for January.
Okay.
And given up. No, well, I'm just saying, the clients. So I've been putting a lot out there on LinkedIn, particularly asking questions just to make potential clients wriggle a bit. And even asking clients when I eventually get to talk to them on a Zoom call, how important is it for you at the moment? Whether it's a crossroads, a dilemma, that kind of thing. What's it worth to you to have this coaching? And sometimes I go as far as saying, what do you charge in your business that you're offering to others? So it might seem is that a little harsh? But it actually is saying, if it's that important to you to get yourself, to find yourself for wherever you've lost yourself, then it's worth it.
By the way, anybody else wants to hop on the panel, just please raise your hand. And Nessa will promote you because I can't see who raising their hand. So,
it's so, as far as the business side of things, if I could make a comment on that, because I think that is, I'm in a group of professionals who are mostly coaches, and that we meet once a month to talk about the business of building your coaching empire, right? And so every month is a new opportunity, because there are so many, giving thanks, there's so many themes. There's Mental Health Awareness Month. Is there a coaching month? There should be. So there are so many opportunities to think about. So as far as building business, one thing I did this month was reach out to people and suggest, the holidays, especially 2020 holidays, so many emotions, right? And managing emotions, but also communication. And in coaching, we learn specific techniques for how we communicate, how we ask those powerful questions, right? We don't really leave too much on the table. And it's sort of, now that people are with their loved ones during the holidays, or not with their loved ones during the holidays, a coach is so great to kind of weed through all of the quagmires or what have you that come up. And I think especially around the holidays. So as a coach, as you're building your business right now, to think about how you can help families or whatever your niche is during these times. Every month I look at as an opportunity to invent a new approach to building the business. Does that make sense?
It definitely does make sense. And someone else actually talked about too, about looking for new new segments and new niches. So just always have to be looking, always have to be thinking, and always reevaluating, huh?
Yeah, because people aren't thinking, I have found, it's been my experience, people aren't sure what coaching is exactly, and they're a little afraid of it, and what gives you the credential, or what are the credentials, and so I think for the first thing is education, right? And then building that rapport. I can't remember Pat or who said about the rapport is so important, and it's that feeling you get when you first have that consult. And I think that is about, you're not going to get yeses until you start getting some no's. And Nessa, I think you were talking about the belief system and having confidence. And I think just for me, everybody's different, but building confidence, is it through experience or is it through your belief system? And for some people, they grow confidence through experience, and others, it's just an internal dialogue that they create. So everybody's different with that, and there are different ways to grow your coaching business. But I love
it's definitely self-coaching.
Yes, the self-coaching. Pat, you said I'm ready. And I know what you mean by that, because you feel it, like I'm ready to dig in. I thought that was beautiful, just those two words.
I also think, this is a whole whack of stuff you can't read. I went for PCC a good few years ago and I wasn't ready. And do you know what I do now? I found this old notebook, back to January 2012. Yeah. And I was humbled by it, the notes I'd taken. And so I was looking through to see how one explores our competencies, our key competencies with the ICF, and how to use them, how I can use them for the betterment of myself and the clients. So that has helped me. I've also written a very long thing on the chat. People have been asking Magda about new segments, and I've offered one. People coming up for retirement. I am, but I've created my new business now at the age of 68.
Nice.
So there you go. You've got to recreate, and there's a lot of people out there in denial. So attendees, look into that. Just because I'm there doesn't mean it's just for people over 60 or the baby boomers, but it's an area that needs help. Or startup businesses is another one. Because people are leaving their companies, they're leaving an area that they knew very well. They don't want to continue doing that, or they're too old maybe. They need to start up something else. So if you're in finance or have a finance background, or marketing, Magda, marketing. It's a wonderful opportunity to help people, coach them into their next career.
I have too many hobbies. I can't take on another. No, you bring up a really good point. And somebody else was asking about any trends that we're seeing in terms of demand changes in the past COVID era. And yes, a little bit. For at Coacharia, part of it is because our brand awareness, especially globally, has been growing. So our business has been growing, which is, excellent. Thank you. Thanks to this community. So definitely we're seeing that. But what we're seeing is a recognition of coaching skills being valuable at more levels in the organization. Whereas before, there would be inquiries about training, and there would be inquiries about coaching leaders, like senior leaders. Now we're seeing more, how do I scale coaching skills throughout the organization? How do I get more of my line managers, not necessarily, get a credential or become a coach, but work on their listening skills and more, asking, not telling, those kinds of things. So kind of coaching 101. So it's definitely a trend that I'm seeing. And the other trend that I'm seeing, which is not going away, is because of the change of how we work. I did my MBA, but I can tell you right now that I learned kind of zero practical things in my MBA. It was great learning, but not necessarily applicable. So when I was thrown into my first team leader position, I didn't exactly go and look up my notes of what I learned in my MBA to help manage conflict between team members. So let's just put it out there that most of us, even if we have the acronym, it doesn't mean that we get an education in being a team leader or a manager. And that is true for most people who are team leaders and managers. Many don't even have education in the particular field they work in. That's just reality of life. So what people are realizing now is not only were we all ill-equipped to be managers to begin with, we're now even less equipped to be managers of remote teams and distributed teams and doing this all the time with our teams. So a whole slew of new challenges have been emerging, and I think will continue to emerge as companies are realizing that, yeah, there is no normal anymore. There's going to be a new normal, and we're still working towards that. And a lot of companies already said, working from home for the rest of your life if you want to, or working from home twice a week or whatever. There's a whole slew of that. But what that means is that we all have to unlearn old habits and we have to learn new ones. And I think that's going to be a huge opportunity for coaches, because who else is better positioned than to help people discover new competencies and unlearn old behaviors than coaches. So I would say look out for that. I'm already seeing it from some companies.
Yeah, marketing was definitely not my forte. I came out of a corporate company, hospitality. Of course, that died a death, and found myself out in the desert, really. I looked around, where are the coaches? Where are the people that need coaching? Up until then, I'd been given them to coach. Now I had to find them for myself. So here I am at 68, a startup business with a new company. Yeah, where do I go from here? So I've worked with some marvelous people, because I'm that kind of person that asks questions all the time. And if I don't understand, I'll ask more. But we do need those people to walk with us. And that's where the coaches come in. I've just put another one in there. Wellness is another segment that needs, I don't have a degree, Magda, but I tell everybody that I'm studying for my PhD, from the University of Life. So that's where, life skills come in.
For sure. So I think this may be a nice place for us to look at another Mentimeter. So I'm going to share my screen again. Oh my gosh, I lost all my windows. Thank you, Zoom. Okay, I am curious, based on our discussions so far, as well as things we haven't discussed yet, what does the audience think are the biggest opportunities that 2021 will bring us as coaches? So please head over to that same link as before. Let's see if, nope, I don't have a copy anymore. So sorry, just go to menti.com in a different window. Please don't leave Zoom. If I can figure out how to get you the link again, I will.
Magda, you see, here's this oldie who has limited understanding of Zoom. How do I get to menti.com without losing you?
You go to a different window. Hold on, that's okay, 1 second. I found the other link. So if you got the link?
Yes.
Awesome. So anyone who's watching, if you click the link that Nessa just put in the chat, it won't make you leave Zoom. Don't worry. It'll just open another window so that you can see.
Thank you, Nessa.
You're very welcome.
So yeah, let us know, what do you think are the biggest opportunities? And you can just put in single words, phrases, whatever. It's going to be a word cloud as before. So we shall see if it's what will come up. And then in the meantime, the other thing that I will put in there is, oh no, I lost it. Oh no, wait, hold on. I'm really challenged today with like everything. Surprised that I can even speak full sentences. There's a little video that I recorded like a year ago. It's literally 2 minutes. But if you want to take a look, it's a coaching versus therapy versus mentoring versus counseling to kind of show the different interventions on a scale of future, past and future focused and asking and telling. It's an oversimplified way of looking at coaching, but I think it's a nice way to differentiate at least between the different disciplines. It might be helpful to you with your clients. Feel free to use that video. It's just on YouTube. It's public. Okay, so people are putting in their answers. Excellent. Adjusting, leadership development, workshops, family business, self-reflection. Gen Z, man, Gen Z, yes, I agree. For me, wellness is coming up as a big one. Gen Z, to me, thank you for existing. I think that's who's going to save the planet, full stop. All of us on this panel and in the audience, I don't care how old you are, we are the ones who messed up the world. And I consider myself a pretty eco-conscious person, and I put myself in that category. We mess things up. Gen Z, oh my goodness, like, I think if we survive as a species, it's thanks to that generation. End of rant. Relationship coaching, interesting. Breathing, empathy, team coaching, mental well-being. It's interesting. So we touched on wellness a little bit, and it's coming up here. And what coaching for politicians.
Too soon.
you know, what I'm wondering about is mental health and self-care and the idea of wellness and charging for it, because there are so many apps that are out there. There's so many different options for participating in self-care, and we know that coaching is a great way to help people. But yeah, how do you talk to someone, I suppose, of working with you as a coach versus, you know, just going on an app that promises you the world? I'm curious. Anyone?
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that, Magda, because self-care, right? The first word in there is self. So we need to know who we are, have that awareness. There's a lot of, you know, self-awareness. There can be self-sabotage. There can be so many everything, right? And so when we work with someone like a coach, as opposed to going on an app, I believe that the self is in the room. It's really seen. A coach brings the self out, places it on the table so that the client can see who they are. And that's the craft of coaching, right? Asking those questions so that we see ourselves in a new way, develop some insight, et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about self-care and mental and emotional and physical health, it's so important to me to have that rapport with someone, because they're going to use that wonderful technique of mirroring and reflecting back, maybe even parts of us that we don't see, and maybe need help to uncover before we can, lose the weight or reduce the anxiety or whatever it might be. A dear friend, colleague who's a coach mentioned to me the other day, you know, when you're marketing, because I know this is the business of coaching, so I just want to throw in a marketing comment. When you're marketing to someone about losing weight, and you as a coach, you say, well, you're going to learn this amazing eating plan and you're going to have a new relationship with your body. And really at the end of the day, the client's like, no, I just want to lose weight. So the beauty about coaching is that we can help them to attain that goal, but along the way, those connections that we're making, those steps that we're taking are showing them who they are, getting the self-care involved and teaching them how to make more healthful meals, how to do things for their body, how to feel their body. And, you know, when you're on an app, and look, I don't want to put down apps. They are life-saving for many people. But an app, to me, the limitation is that connection piece, that authenticity that's missing when, let's say, if I'm working with Pat, you know, and she's going to talk to me in a way that I might really need. And that app, you know, maybe is different. Let me just say it's different. Is that fair? I think that's a fair point.
I think so. I don't think they're exclusive. I was just, you know, trying to be contrary. To me, they both have a place and different benefits. So I'm
Absolutely.
all for all the different interventions together. But okay, so a couple of themes that have come up for me during this conversation. Visibility of yourself, who you are as a coach, and just like with most things in life, proof is in the pudding, right? You once you get to work with the coach, you meet them, you have the chance to really showcase why you're so amazing. But to get there, you need to first get people to be aware of your existence. So I think visibility is one thing, and being able to showcase those special individual things about yourself that make you a right fit for that person. So what can, you know, at Coach Aria, yes, we do coach training, and of course we have clients, but the reason we do this webinar and all of our webinars and everything else that we do is because we truly want to, and hopefully are, democratizing coaching. Because we understand that this is a benefit that can be felt for anybody. Like anybody can be coached. We always say no such thing as uncoachable clients, only unclientable coaches. So, you know, we want to give access to coaching to people. In the future, that probably will involve some sort of self-coaching technology solution to help those who can't get to a coach for whatever reason. But there's, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, what are some ideas that people have in the audience and people on this chat that we as Coach Aria could help to make you guys more visible, make you more accessible so that you can get more clients, so that you can showcase how amazing you are, and that more doors appear in front of you and there are more doors open. Because I think, you know, we're all greater than a sum of our parts, right? And yes, Coach Aria is just one provider, but I mean, I do think we're special in that we really want to bring us all together. I mean, Mesa trained with us, and so how I know her, but the two of you, you know, this is the first time that we're talking. So yeah, what can we do? What can Coach Aria do to help? Anyone.
Do you link people? I mean, how do you work now doing it?
How do we link people? We have a marketplace. Yeah, we already have a marketplace. So if you go to marketplace.coacharia.com, anyone can list their profile as a coach. And we do need to do a proof of that, because that marketplace actually started when COVID started. And we started getting a lot of people, a lot of coaches especially, saying, hey, I want to help. The world is falling apart. What can I do? So we started a marketplace where you could list your pro bono at the time services so that clients can find you. And we've got about, I think, 500 coaches on there right now who are active. But yeah, everyone's welcome to go to marketplace.coacharia.com. Coach, yeah. That will be getting us through stuff. Is going to get rebranded on its own URL so that we can make it more discoverable, more public. But yeah, if all of you want to go check it out and shoot me some feedback, magda@coacharia.com, always welcome and encouraged. I will be very happy to hear it. Yeah. Mesa, anything come to mind?
Not specifically to answer your question, what was coming up between your conversation there, but going live. So I was thinking about that, and it's something that I haven't been so brave to do. But that being said, I know others who have gotten very comfortable with quick 30-second, minute long, I don't know, people these days have the attention span of a flea, but I think there's value in it when we're talking about how can we present ourselves. Because I'm thinking from a sales perspective, from a business perspective, I can only divide myself up, like the pie is the pie. I can only cut this and slice it so many different ways, but I'm not going to get more pie no matter how I cut it. And so I think it's important for my business, for our businesses, that we have those passive means of recruiting clients and putting that content out there, but specifically that live video content, or just generally video content, gives the feel. I can feel your energy over this Zoom call. You can feel a connection with somebody on a Facebook Live, where we can, for myself, I know that me sitting here speaking opposed to me trying to capture it down in written word, it's just not the same. And sometimes it's very difficult to try and articulate what it is that we're feeling. And so I was just thinking about that, like when we're looking at opportunities for 2021, when we're thinking about this next generation who's going to save us, fingers crossed. But this is how they communicate. This is how they want to meet people. Connection looks a little different nowadays, but I think ultimately we all crave the same kind of connection. And so, I don't know, I'm putting that out there. Try to go live more, try to create that content, put yourself out there in a passive way so people can find you when you're not face to face, shaking hands, kissing babies, or whatever the case is. So I don't know, that was a thought that had come up. I don't remember who was speaking.
It's a good thought. And I'm going to add to that because, again, as a marketer, one of the biggest reasons why Coacharia has grown is because of SEO. And I'm usually not one to be like, good job. Oh, hello, Sailor. Oh, I just hit you accidentally. This is Sailor. He's my co-host always. But SEO has been something that's helped me big time in my career. And it's been really good for Coacharia. That's search engine optimization. So visibility in Google, showing up in search engines. So when you concentrate certain types of content, good things happen on Google, and Coacharia is in a really good spot. So if any of you want to actually do guest blogs, or if you're doing any videos, share them with us. And I can't promise we'll publish everything, because you need to make sure that it's, the right quality and et cetera, et cetera. But please send them over. I'm more than happy for you to be guest bloggers on Coacharia's website, because it's good for us, obviously, but it actually is good for you because we are very discoverable in search engines. So chances are it's going to be more visible than just sticking that, on a personal blog somewhere. Just throwing it out there. You know how to reach me.
Thank you, Magda. I'm taking you up on that. Thank you. I'll send something.
Me too.
Yeah, sounds good.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do I've got a video, which I might share. But I also want to encourage people to do workshops. I'm building up to doing one in February with a co-host who's a well-known South African author. You'll never pronounce her name, so I'm not going to write it. Hanneke van Zyl.
Do it. Now you have to say it.
Okay, all right. I'll tell you what. I will put it there. Hanneke van Zyl Edeling. I'll write it as I'm speaking. She's written a book called Over the Moon, which is based on the retiring kind of people. So we're going to do this joint workshop. We're not charging a fortune. It's not about that. It's about getting connected and getting people to say, you know what? I like what I'm hearing. I want them to coach me. So,
and you know what? That actually gives me an idea too, because the marketplace, again, it started as a free marketplace for people who really needed help when the world was starting to fall apart. But our next step was now to rejig it so that people can have more of the paid services. They're already there, but like just more of that. But maybe we should also put workshops on there. So if you're listing your services, if you're not just listing you as a coach, you can list your workshop. So I love that idea that I just thought of.
Yes.
Just kidding. I need to pat my own back sometimes, you guys. I know that you thought of it. But good job, Pat. So if any of you have workshops, etc., don't do it today, but like maybe by end of the year, go to the marketplace and I'll make sure that we have a new option to list your workshops too.
Wonderful motivation.
Yeah.
Now, Magda, go and see if you can pronounce that name.
Well, I said it before, but I wasn't reading it. I was repeating you, and now I forgot what I said.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just teasing you. Very South African, Afrikaans name. But anyway, the point is that she's well known, so she's got clients. And I'm a sort of startup, but she wants me there to be the sort of energy.
Great. That's my job in life sometimes. Slash the only job I have. And on that note, I might start wrapping us up because we are at 4 minutes to the hour. So I'll invite all of you to give us some closing thoughts, but I'm happy how this turned out. I wanted to experiment and see what would happen. And I really liked this webinar. People are asking about the chat. I think what should happen is when you close out of Zoom, Zoom should give you an option to save the chat, but it's okay if it doesn't, because I fully intend to take what's in the chat and take the slides of the opportunities and challenges and this video, and it'll be embedded on our blog. So coacharya.com/blog. I'll try to get it up tomorrow so anyone can revisit this. But I think, you know, if there's one thing that I can say as my closing thoughts for this is, first of all, thank you, especially to our volunteers who came on screen. This is already great. You can use this as a marketing piece, perhaps. There's some little videos that you can maybe grab from this one. See, you're already getting benefit. And to our audience and for all the comments. And, you know, we go much further together. A few months ago, we had a webinar with Mobantu about Ubuntu coaching. And Ubuntu is this concept that I've loved ever since I learned it in 2005. It was my old company, Hollard Insurance. It was one of their company values. And it's just such a lovely way of thinking about, you know, living for the community with each other. It's not about how far I go by myself. You go much further together. And I think that's true for us, as in Coach Arya, the company, and the individuals who maybe didn't even train with us. That's perfectly cool. And you with each other. You know, Pat just talked about her partnership with an author. You know, neither one of them can do what they're doing that they are doing together. And I'm seeing that happen a lot. And I encourage all of you to do that. And as I said, my offer stands. Please email me, magda@coacharya.com, with your submissions for blog posts. I might not reply right away, but I will reply. We welcome it. The more that we can do for each other and raise the coaching profession, the bigger the pie gets, right, Nessa? So you can still have your slice, but the slice magically gets bigger.
Yes.
So anyway, that's my thank you. And Nessa, Pat, Paula, any closing thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you.
I love this conversation. I love this conversation. And Pat, by the way, when you're talking about like, I'm partnering with the author to be the energy. Yes, Pat, you are so the energy. And I love it. I loved sharing this space with all of you guys. This was a really great conversation. Oh, I missed it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, Zoom. I love conference calls. But thank you. I love this conversation. This was super valuable. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nessa.
It was lovely to meet you. Lovely to meet you. Paula, Nessa, Magda. Yeah, thank you. I don't know why I did that, but I did. I put up my hand and I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it.
See, a door, you saw a door, it opened, you walked right through it, and you make what you make with it. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, it's true, Pat.
Thank you to the attendees. Thank you to the attendees too. They've come up with some lovely stuff.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Paula. Yes, thank you. It's nice meeting you all. I have to say, you know, throwing up the hand, I haven't even showered this morning. I did not intend on this. And I say that because you just never know, you know, and it's worth taking the risk and just opening the door and walking through it. So thank you. It was lovely to chat with you. And I hope to have the honor of chatting with you all again sometime.
You definitely will. Thank you so much. And we will see you. No, not next week. We'll see you tomorrow. Please come tomorrow. We're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. India, because India never changes their time zone. But tomorrow we have a special treat. Fons Trompenarts. See, I pronounced it correctly, I think. That's a Dutch name. So Fons Trompenaars, who is an amazing, amazing coach in person, full stop. He's an expert in cross-cultural communication and cultures in general. And throughout this COVID craziness, while some of us were relearning to sew and forcing their sister to make sweet treats and gaining about 15 pounds, others, like Fons, have been doing research and learning and analyzing. So what Fons has done is he's looked at how different countries, based on their cultural predispositions, etc., how they have dealt with the fallout of COVID in terms of work, school, whatever. And based on those cultural differences, he's looked at what effects it has had. And what's going to be really interesting is that he published his results, I believe, in September. So after the first wave was over. But since then, as we know, in the US, we just crossed another, every day is a different milestone of terribleness. So I know that he's updated his research based on the crapshoot that we are now in as a planet. So it'll be interesting to see what he has learned to begin with, as well as, what maybe some behavioral cultural shifts have changed in the past few months that have resulted in resurgences of COVID around the planet. So I think it'll be an awesome, awesome presentation. It's him and his colleague from France who translated the research into French. But yeah, please join us. It's another free webinar. I think it's half an hour earlier than this. But if you go to coacharia.com/events, you will see it as the next webinar tomorrow. Please register, please tell your friends. It's going to be awesome because Fons is just great to begin with, but this is very timely, and the updates he hasn't really shared anywhere yet. So we'll also get first dibs on learning something new. So I hope you can join us.
Okay.
Now I can really say goodbye.
Yes. Thank you guys. This was awesome.
Bye.
Have a great day. Have a great night.